So there was a question asked to a candidate, do you think, does terrorism has religion? Right. So it is not personal question. You may be a Muslim candidate sitting in front of them, but you should not take that question personally.
Goes back to Vinay sir, at that point of time when he was preparing, what would you say to him for interview preparation?
I scored 210. I gave only one UPSC interview and I scored 210.
Okay.
And I was so scared to give interview. Like that was my life's first interview. I was totally nervous.
Like how we are talking?
Our English is normal English, so
Right.
we are not using any extraordinary words.
Hi, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. So today we are talking about UPSC interview. You're taking a lot of mock interviews. I thought that, I'll take some of your time and, it will help so many aspirants. So first, very simple question. When the UPSC interview list comes, it says personality test. In bracket, there is a word interview also. So what is personality? What is a personality test and how does it differ from a traditional interview, sir?
See, in UPSC, everyone's dream is to go to Labasna.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, people are obsessed with, those who are very serious about it. And as soon as you want to enter Labasna, you see that, Sheelam Paramabhushanam. Character is everything. So personality is basically about individual character. And that individual character is developed over a period of years, since your childhood, based on all kind of experiences you have gone through in your life. Secondly, the kind of exposure you have got academically, extracurricular wise, in your own personal life. Every kind of exposure. You might have been to a different country. You might have experienced a different culture. Right? You might have experienced certain experiences in your own life, right? Through the interaction with, intellectual people or whatever. So, and then over a period of years, you have developed certain qualities. You have acquired certain skills. And also, you have developed certain values also, principles, right? Something that you have been consistently practicing. So, it is all the sum of everything, is embedded in your character and that gets manifested. The way you behave, the way you talk, the way you interact with the people. Humility, right? One of the cardinal values, which I think everyone should possess. Have you developed humility? Right? And do you know the difference between overconfidence and arrogance? Right? Do you know the difference between humility and submissiveness? Right? And also, these are the fine things, right? Have you developed all these qualities? So the UPSC, when they are, asking questions, they are expecting back responses, right? And your ability to engage them in an intellectual conversation, right? Not to, time pass. It's not a time pass thing, right?
Correct.
It is basically intended to assess your suitability for the one of the toughest jobs, that is IAS, IPS, Indian Foreign Service. So the personality is you. We should not forget who I am, where I come from, what I am made up of and everything. So that awareness must be there. You have to be conscious about who you are. So the UPSC is trying to know you, right? While assessing you, trying to know you also, because in their constant imagination, that is there. Like, when I'm doing mock interview, like I'm imagining you as a, district collector in the future, SP, as a diplomat. So handling complex things. Can you make quick decision? Right? Are you going to be objective? Are you going to be empathetic in whatever you are, dealing with? Are you going to be somebody, who is not prejudiced at all, biased at all, right? That is what objective. So these are the qualities we are testing.
Correct.
So that is what should be the major focus as part of the UPSC preparation. Unfortunately, what is happening is that people follow herd mentality. So you have set up questions for prelims, you write mock test and you prepare. You have set up questions for mains, you practice. Similarly, for interview also, there are previous year questions, PYQs. So they take from different mocks, and till mains, nobody has ever prepared for interview.
Yes.
I don't think anybody actually prepares for interview. Only after clearing mains, even after mains also they don't. I keep on insisting, come do mock interview, let us discuss. At least let us discuss the DAF. Right. So that is one good thing that UPSC has done. Earlier they used to fill hobbies before the mains result. Now they have to fill after the It is a strategic move by the
Correct,
UPSC.
correct.
Earlier, they would feel something. They would have got some 3-4 month extra time. They would have prepared. No, not like that. You fill today, after 15-20 days, you have interview. You cannot fake. Right. So these are all the things that are happening. Of course, your question was very brief, and I think I've answered that also.
Yes. Sir, I have around 2-3 questions. First question is, fake it till you make it. Will this work in interview first? Second is that, since you spoke about Labasna, if you would have become a civil servant and if you would have not got any of the southern cadre states, northern cadre state you would have got, which state you would have chosen and why? And my third question is that if Vinay Sir goes back to Vinay Sir at that point of time when he was preparing, what would you say to him for interview preparation? So these are the 3 questions I have. I'll repeat it if you know. So first is fake it till you make it.
So the first question, fake it till you make it, maybe that would have worked till few years ago. But UPSC has evolved and was smart and is smart, has become even more smarter actually. It is very difficult to fake it in the real interview. I catch people, sometimes when I'm doing mock interviews, if I can do with my limited experience, and we keep telling, in one room there is 150 years worth collective experience sitting in front of them. 5 individuals, if they have worked at least 30 years in any department, right? So there is 150 years worth experience and wisdom. You cannot fake it in the interview. Not anymore.
Correct.
So they are going for real candidates. So if you have to be extraordinary. Maybe a graduate from National School of Drama, maybe then, right. I mean, if you're a graduate from NSD, that itself is enough to get you a good marks. You don't have to act.
Right.
That's a good credential to have, right?
Right.
And like the point here is that you have to be extraordinary at. I don't think it works actually. It should not be done by anyone.
Correct.
Honesty should be the best policy. Correct. Right. Coming to second question, when I was an aspirant. So the question was how?
Like if you go back in your past, what would you say to yourself?
At that time, I scored 210. I gave only one UPSC interview and I scored 210. That was out of 300 at that time. That is equal to, I think, 193 currently, which is still a great score, because anything 190 and above is intended to get you into IAS, IPS or Indian Foreign Service.
Correct.
So maybe they saw those qualities in me, should be there in. So it was the IMG Khan board. And I was able to do that without giving any mock test. At that time, there were no mock interviews and all. I had given only one mock and it was very pathetic in Delhi Kannada Sangha. And I was so scared to give interview. Like that was my life's first interview. I was totally nervous. And after giving that particular mock interview, they gave me another chance in the afternoon. So I was able to speak for 5 minutes and they said, "You're really speaking well. Just don't be nervous. If you really speak well in the interview, you're going to score one of the highest." So that was said by Shri Vijay Bhaskar, who went on to become Chief Secretary in Karnataka. So that was very encouraging. I just kept on thinking about his words, went to real interview. So the reason I'm talking about it is that I had a good extracurricular track record. So throughout my school, college days, I was part of the sports, quiz competitions, essay writing, never debate and discussion. Going on stage and speaking, I had never done that. But other extracurricular activities, I was really good. Even painting, sketching, even I had become amateur photographer also, right? So I had borrowed a camera and I tried to do that also. So during the last 2 years of my UPSC preparation, so I was good at those things, and also I had read so many novels, books, non-fiction and all. Pretty confident, and I was working as Panchayat Development Officer. So what I would have told Vinay going back is that he should have developed a bit early a public speaking skills. I knew English, I was not able to communicate in English. So that is one major problem with English medium students in India, right? So we can write English, so we cannot communicate. Secondly, another thing, if not related to interview, what I would have told him was that you should have focused on the basics of the examination. You should have read NCERT properly. You should have done answer writing. But there was nobody to tell. I think it was me who started this answer writing on my website, in 2012.
Yes.
So these are the things. Whatever I'm preaching today, I should have done
Yes.
as an aspirant. So then maybe I would have got very good rank and maybe become an IAS officer or something.
So,
there was another last question.
Yes, sir. If you went into, go into the civil services, which state would you have chosen? None of the southern states.
Interestingly, I had put Jammu Kashmir as my first preference.
Okay.
So in my I cleared 3 mains, right? So we had to put immediately after the result. So first twice I had put Jammu Kashmir.
Okay.
So when I went to interview, parents made put Karnataka first, second Jammu Kashmir. It's okay. If you don't get Karnataka, go to Jammu Kashmir. So I was obsessed with working in either Jammu Kashmir, either Jharkhand or Odisha or Chhattisgarh.
Naxal belt or the militancy belt? Any reason, sir?
Because I was so fascinated with the idea that development can cure everything.
Absolutely.
Right. I even now I am fascinated. In fact, I've started working as part of the politics with respect to that. I believe development, when it is reached to everyone, right, where it hasn't reached, right. So I wanted to be that agent of change. Development as the bridge, development as something that would bring people together, calm down all the tensions, and so that was the idea. So I always loved challenges. I was never afraid of the bullet. I was never afraid of the terrorist or Naxals or anyone. I had this mad confidence that I could go to heart of these areas and speak to them, do some work. I think when your intentions are good,
yes,
when you are good, right, I think even the most feared people, whether it is terrorist or Naxal, I think they will be able to see through it, see through you, right? So I had that confidence. That is why I had put Jammu Kashmir as my first choice.
So this would be a very common thing once my when I had joined bureau, once my training. So we also need to choose places. So my first preference was also Jammu and Kashmir.
Oh, great, nice.
And sir, just to add to it, recently, Sir General Upendra, the current chief, he's a chief of army staff. He said on the Manipur issue, he said that security forces' job is to secure the area. Give a stable environment, be it Jammu and Kashmir or Northeast. Then he said the important development will come through civil services. We are just here to provide security. It's not our job. That should be done by bureaucracy and development. And even, sir, it is multiple time coming today from security forces that our job is, to reduce the militancy. But the second important job is that development and cohesiveness comes. Once that starts, automatically militancy will come down. This is coming from top security forces also now, sir. So wonderful thought, sir. Sir, you told about that you had hobbies, sports, etc. Now, question is, for example, first part of the question, if I am from, say, Delhi from DPS Akeprom, I went into IIT and IIMs, good, very good CV and everything. I go to interview and say you come from a very rural background, you don't have any of these things which I have. When we go to the interview to the same panel, how we both would be judged on what parameters, and how a person from rural and how a person with my background of IIT, IIMs, how should we approach the interview?
See, as far as I have understood, going through doing mock interviews and seeing many of them succeed, irrespective of which background they come from.
Okay.
So I have done the analysis of that also. Still predominantly, your good English speaking skills and content in it, good amount of perspectives, thoughts, and good DAF, right? Where you come from.
Cutting. Sir, does English is a biased issue in the UPSC interview?
No, it is not a bias, right? I mean, that's what I'm coming at. So that still matters.
Okay.
Right. At the same time, people who are not good with communication, but they have excellent DAF, but even with their not so good English, if they can communicate their ideas effectively, you don't need extraordinarily, good English. right? Filled with jargon and all these out of the world vocabulary. So if we can still convince them,
Like
with
how we are talking.
our English is normal English, so
Right,
we are
right.
not using any extraordinary words. No, even not this much English also, right?
Okay.
Even
Even
see, when I went to interview, as I told, I knew English, but I was not able to speak. In fact, I used a few Kannada words in my English.
Everybody do listen to this.
Yeah.
But sir is not saying that you should start using Kannada word in the interview. Just wanted to.
No, they can use certain words when they cannot think of an English
Okay.
word.
To
It's
complete the sentence.
to
Okay.
complete the sentence, right? See, the language is to communicate,
Okay, sir. Okay.
right? I mean, you can communicate without using language also.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
right? I mean, in the sense that I mean,
Non-verbal language.
no, you can actually communicate up, not the complex ideas or anything, but language. They are aware that some people are coming from government colleges,
Yes,
regional language medium.
Correct.
They are actually considerate. The board is considerate. What they want is that it doesn't mean that because you come from Kannada medium or Telugu medium, you have to be low in confidence, right? Show confidence, right? You have to be very confident, and you should be very well prepared. It's okay to speak not so good English, but communicate really well, right? So then they are going to be considerate. They are not going to be biased. Ultimately, what happens is that when you're selecting for a job, when you're getting on an average 8 to 10 candidates in a day, like now it is 6 to 7 candidates in a day, one of them performs really well on that day for that panel, and they kind of set benchmark in terms of expectation.
Okay.
So anyone who comes after that,
in a day you're talking about,
in a day, or it can be in a week also, right? So I think they are going to be judged relatively, right? So you have to be aware of certain standards also. If you're going to interview, you have to be aware of certain standards in terms of how to speak, what to speak, to what extent there should be depth in your answer. So what are the new things that you need to communicate? Do you have to say more facts? Do you have to say more ideas? Right? Do you have to show conviction, or do you have to give a balanced answer? Right? Like people say positive, negative, plus, minus, advantage, disadvantage. It has both the sides and other things, right? So people should have clarity with respect to that. So if you're going without these clarities, so then you will make mistakes, but you will not be knowing that you have made mistakes, right? So to answer your question briefly, there is no bias in the interview. The bias, we think it is a bias because we haven't developed ourselves fully, according to the requirement of the job, according to their expectations. So it is, the onus is on the candidate.
Sir, you keep on saying this. I've seen your multiple interviews where you talk about integrated approach. One of the UPSC 2020 toppers, she said that the amount of effort I gave to my interview preparation was equal to my prelims and mains preparation. And she said the problem with majority of the student is, which you told, that they start taking interview 15-20 days before the interview. They do not prepare for UPSC as an integrated preparation. Can you explain what is integrated preparation? And second, why do you keep talking about it, and how to do it?
See, I started talking about it when I started doing more and more mock interviews. See, I started noticing that most of them were giving artificial answers, not so inspiring.
Can you give an example, sir? Is it possible?
I mean, they give very obvious answer, right? If I ask about, talk about Russia-Ukraine crisis, right? So they will not give the context. They will not give any new perspective on that. Maybe from a geopolitical angle, maybe purely from economic angle, purely from technology angle. Maybe there can be a perspective from a technology angle also, right? They will tell what is there in the news, right? So this war is because of maybe Zelensky, or their territorial expansion from the Russia side, or because of the neutralizing NATO or whatever it is. So what we read in the newspaper day to day. But if you read New York Times, there may be another perspective from the American perspective, right? So if you read Guardian or something, or Economist magazine, so there may be a different perspective. So we don't develop them. So there are something called nuanced perspective, right, about these issues. So that is something that is expected, and when you say that, when you give that response, suddenly I become more curious. Right. I am also more educated now. Right. I am also learning. And what I would like to do is that I would like to engage you on that particular perspective, on particular answer for a while, like, like say 2 to 3 minutes more. So that is what is called as conversation. Otherwise, what happens? I ask a question, you tell something obvious which everyone knows in the room, which everyone knows outside the room also. End of the discussion. Right. You haven't offered
This
anything.
requires wide reading, which you keep talking about.
That's what. So integrated preparation, I've been advocating, since the beginning that, you start reading non-fiction, fiction books. Right. At least have a 30-40 books target in a year. And read more than 2 newspapers. Let's say one Economic Times, Business Standard or Live Mint, one of them related to business, one international newspaper, one national newspaper like the Hindu or Indian Express. So one online edition of any international newspaper. And I keep recommending people to listen to podcast, watch documentaries out of passion and interest.
Yes.
Not because of the compulsion for the examination. And because people read ready-made current affairs, people they don't develop interests. When beginner comes, I tell read entire newspaper end to end. Over a period of time, you will develop interest. Maybe in sports, right? Maybe in economic issues, maybe in strategic security issues, maybe in some like environment, geopolitics, international affairs. Some interest you will develop. So based on that, you can start buying books on them. You can start reading them. Maximum 3 different interests, right? So for 2-3 years, if you develop for interview, you will be totally ready. So now I see DAF, everyone is putting cooking, jogging, right? Gymming, meditation. There are a variety of meditation, right? And transcendental meditation is there, heartful meditation is there, mindful meditation is there.
When you ask these questions, do they know this?
There is nothing wrong. Again, people are putting, honestly, they are doing this. But do you think UPSC interview is a place where I engage you talking about cooking? Unless it is something that you have been passionately doing for so long and you have done something new in it. Right? Within cooking, there is something new. Right? So I don't know what it is, like, maybe something. So that if it is displayed in the DAF, then out of interest, I can start doing it, right? Asking it. Meditation, like, what do we discuss about meditation? It becomes a spiritual conversation. UPSC is not interested in spiritual conversation, but they must be mentioned. I'm not saying they should not be mentioned. If you're doing them, you have to mention them because they show that you're still disciplined individual. You're doing them. There is nothing wrong in doing them, right? So no, I'm not speaking with contempt like against these things. The thing is that there are people who have developed interest with. In addition to these, there are interests. Like for example, there was a guy who was pursuing, a wide variety of courses from, Coursera and, other like on artificial intelligence, about astrobiology, and with respect to, space related aspects, with respect to time, something related to physics also, something related to spirituality also. And he got 201 or something in his very first interview. I was scared that he had put so much. 3 years ago. So in very first attempt, he got IPS and he's happy. So he was able to do justice to any question that was asked because he was doing that. I was skeptical in the beginning when he mentioned he has been doing all these things. So, but he was able to. They were very philosophical, abstract topics were also there. Right. The panel loves people, who bring diversity.
So, sir, since you told about this hobbies and interest, are they putting hobbies and interest in the perspective that, let me just fill it up and less questions should be asked? I should try to make a DAF in which the questions which I have prepared, only those are asked. Is this the mindset of the candidate, sir?
So that is the mindset. They want to play safe also. Some people don't want to mention things in the DAF because they are scared that members will ask more questions from that particular area. So they are scared to face questions. See, when you go to interview, you should not be scared about anything. Right? You don't know, you say you don't know. You have to display the honesty. So when you have that honesty, you should not be scared about anything. And before putting, you should know that you have done these things.
Correct.
And you have genuine interest in them. So if you have genuine interest, you put them. And if you have been doing them, right, you already know the answers. Now, during the interim period between, mains and interview, further revise, add, new perspective about what you have been doing. Right. So that is the extra additional preparation. So now in the real interview, the questions can be anything.
Right.
Right. You don't have to know answer to each and every question. This is not a per question basis interview. It is not that they are going to ask 25 questions. All 25 questions have, 10 marks or 11 marks each. Not like that. Right. So basically, it is the sum of whole experience in the interview. Sometimes what happens in the very first 10 questions, you might not have answered properly. Right. So you haven't created any impression so far. But suddenly one member asks something that, you have done something about it, you have read widely about it, and you give a great answer. That compensates for everything. So we will remember that answer. Again, you have created expectation. If you can maintain that, still you can walk out with the good marks. It can be the last question also. If you haven't done so well. So what I have noticed is that if you go through transcript, the panel keeps giving aspirants, candidates chances. They are not asking questions to reject you. That is not their mindset. When they are sitting and talking to you, they are trying to select you. They are giving you chances. So it is for me to stay totally relaxed, totally confident, and understand the context of the question, importance of the question, know the significance of it. Try to assess, the expectation behind it also very fast, and try to meet that expectation in the very first response. Instead of giving the obvious, try to give something, deep and meaningful, important point first, and then in the end you can say just a passing mention, what everyone knows. So we have to develop the very thinking process. The UPSC aspirants are famous for not thinking, they follow herd mentality. I mean, when I say not thinking, I don't see they sit for half an hour and think about a particular issue, a particular topic. They are constantly reading, writing, making notes. Right? There is no self time. You sit for half an hour, 1 hour. Even when they are meditating, they are trying not to think. Right? When they are doing meditation. So you have to brainstorm issues. You have to discuss them. So when you develop all these things, so you will be able to do well in the interview.
So since you said that the UPSC interview, the students who are preparing for the UPSC interview, they just keep reading. One question, when the viewpoint, what is your viewpoint on this particular controversial issue? Any controversial issue, if you are just reading, and if they ask, we want your opinion, we don't want what government of India is saying, we don't want what Supreme Court has said, we want your opinion. So if you are just reading Hindu and Indian Express, your opinion is Hindu and Indian Express until unless you've started thinking. First of all, how to approach these controversial questions and how to instigate and get that fire for individual opinion if asked.
Their expectation is conviction. Do you have a clear-cut opinion? Have you formulated your own opinion on the issue? Right. Reading one paper or 10 papers, whatever it is. Do you have your original opinion? Now, it may be in favor of what the government is thinking. Government's opinion supports. It may be against it. So, it doesn't matter actually in the real interview. What matters is that how much logically you are able to support, defend your argument. So how do we develop opinion is that you take up an issue, right? So ask a question whether you support it or not. So if you are going to support, write reasons. Try to write 10 reasons. Why do you want to support? You may write 3 reasons, but you may want more reasons, right? Then read different articles. So think about them. And then try to write more reasons. So, no, if you think that you don't want to support, right? So, write the reason. So, now see where you are able to write more arguments, more justifications in support or in against, right? So if you think that when you are not supporting, right, you are not getting more arguments, so then you don't believe in that, or it's not a good opinion to have, right? So go with the opinion where you can support. So basically there can be a counter questions. When there is a counter question, you have to again defend. You cannot change your stance.
Correct. And sir, if you change your answer under pressure,
not good thing. You
Sir.
should not be doing that in the interview. They're not. It's not a mind game. It is not. They're not trying to dominate you. They're not going to get happiness by changing, making you change opinion. That will only put you in the bad light, right? So before telling the answer, I mean, see, you should have thought about it before going to interview. Most of the issues they ask something that are happening around us. That's what I said. No, they don't sit for half an hour, 1 hour, think about it. So that should be done, and then you should have logical, valid reasons, right? As long as you can defend your issue, it can be against the government. It can be against the chairman's opinion also.
And sir, if they're trying to say something like that, are you going against my opinion? And do you know, if they're trying to belittle you, if it happens,
see,
or pressurize
again,
you.
See, we have to clarify. It doesn't mean that you have to argue with them.
Okay.
You're not going to argue here, and they don't want any argument also, right? You should never do that. Arguing with the board or any member in the board. You are very humbly, respectfully putting your opinion.
Okay.
Right. So there is a point, where you stop saying anything when you notice that it can become an argument. No, it should never become argument. If it can become argument, you have to stop. Right. So that is also a trait, like humility. Right. So you should not feel like I know I am the expert and I will speak like this. You should never do that in the real interview.
What interview?
You should not try to correct them also.
Yes, sir. Two things which I want to ask. One is that the candidates who feel a lot of nervousness. You were also saying that one point of time you felt nervousness. How to overcome this? And second, on sir YouTube, I've seen so many reels of your interview, and the kind of questions which are asked, like, they are not the questions which you are telling me. Those are like viral questions, and it said, if you answer this question, you will get more than 200 marks. Somewhat of these reels, and there are videos I've seen. You can prepare for interview tips. Like, can there be 10-15 standard tips for a multi-dimensional UPSC interview? And what do you talk about these reels which keep coming? This is a 30-second reel and he gives an answer. What is the amount of water in this? Some XYZ. Those are very clickbait videos, but they have millions of views. Is this the way the interview is conducted, sir?
No, as I said earlier, it is sum of whole experience. It is total experience. Based on that, they are not going to judge you based on only one answer.
Yes.
Right. It is your personality, right? One answer doesn't define your personality. That may indicate, your level of thinking, how smart, how shrewd, how sharp you were. But the personality is still, there are so many dimensions to it, right? So that is why they keep asking 5 members, variety of questions they ask to explore various dimensions. So these display only one dimension. Maybe they may show a candidate as very sharp and intelligent. But what about other qualities, right? So of course, people can watch them, comment on them. Coming to the actual nature of question, they are intended to test, like engage the candidate. They're open-ended questions. So if the questions are more moving towards DAF, that means they have liked you. There is so much to you. They want to engage you. Usually they end up scoring good marks if you justify whatever you have mentioned in the DAF. So if you fail to do that, then the questions will become random current affair based questions. Something that they are asking for everyone.
Okay.
Right. If the questions are individualistic, then you have won the interview. If the
apart from your DAF. Based on your DAF?
It can be apart from the DAF, but based on the DAF.
Okay.
If it is. So then that means you're doing great. So that is how the answer should be. So all these YouTube, as you said, the only clickbait purpose.
Yes.
One should not follow the tips given there. Right. Ideally. Only if it is, there are videos, by ex-UPSC chairman. Definitely watch them. Learn from them. Because who are the best people? And even I am not the best people also. When UPSC itself is member is speaking, they should not be coming out and speaking actually. But if at all, when they are doing it, you should listen to them. Or if there is a very well experienced people with common sense, people with good experience in the field, don't take everything in its face value. So I mean, you should have that common sense, right? You should see the logic behind certain trip, and based on that, you should be making your own judgment.
The nervous candidate, sir.
Yeah, see how to overcome nervousness. The experience, the scenario which you are scared about, the one you are very fearful about, you have to go through that experience multiple times.
Okay.
That is the only way.
That means to do multiple mocks.
Whether it is mock or whether you go on some stage and speak, whatever you want to do. Right? If you're scared about something, if you're scared about speaking to an audience, do it frequent number of times. Frequently. So you will overcome. Secondly, strong preparation from every dimension. That's right. Being prepared is always the best bet. So that should have been started early, not after the getting the result. Right. So if you start early, right, 1 year, 2 year before, you will always be confident. Third, you have to be in the core very honest. Right. What do I have to lose?
Correct.
Right. I'll go. They are going to ask me a question. If I know, I will answer. If I don't know, I will not answer. I say I don't know. So just being very plain and clear and honest, so will kill the nervousness. So when we try to pretend, when we try to impress, when we try to be very conscious, when we try to focus on the outcome, when we are attached, the nervousness will be there. So in a larger context of life, if you don't attach to anyone anything, you will not be nervous. Right? If you stop focusing in the outcome, just one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 minute at a time, just keep focusing on that. You will kill nervousness. You will not be worried about the stuff. Right? Third one, my favorite thing, what I do is that I am always prepared for the worst. Imagine in your mind the worst scenario that is going to happen. Imagine in your mind how you are going to respond to that. Right? Be prepared for that. If it is going to happen, I am going to respond like that. And 99.9% cases, that worst doesn't happen when your mind is prepared. So this is one trick I follow in my life, and it really works well.
Wonderful trick. Sir, demeanor and tone, how a candidate can improve his demeanor, tone, clothes. I know, very cliche question, but again.
No, they have to work on that. No, some people use hand movements and all. Some people they sit like this.
Which is better?
So something like this. I mean,
can we use hands, sir, in the interview to, can we use hands to?
See, this much you can use. This much you can use.
Like this.
Depend if the chair is something like this. Of course, the chair is not going to be like this. So it can be like this, and bit of hand movements, and strong eye contact with the person who is asking the question. And if other people are listening to you, acknowledge. Don't artificially look into everyone.
Yes, this
right?
was also.
So mainly look into the person who is speaking to you. Others, sixth sense will tell you, right? They are listening and acknowledging, right? Then you appreciate that. So, and good dress, white shirt, light blue shirt, or any light color saree, right? And usually people wear cotton, so it's okay to wear silk also, I think. But any gaudy should not be there, right? Shiny, winey, and all. No gold and all, right? You have to keep it very plain and simple. The focus should be on what you are saying, not on what you are wearing. So you can wear the suit also. It can be light blue, black, gray. Gray is better, I think, right? A tie also not shiny, matte finish tie, and the black pant, dark navy blue pant, and formal shoes, brown or black.
Correct, sir. Sir, in this only
you can go without wearing tie also if you're not comfortable.
Okay.
It's not compulsory. Now people are almost everyone is wearing suit and all. The intros are in January, February when Delhi is cold. So okay, I mean wear suit also.
So one of the candidates in this section has asked, Sir, how to respond to abstract and philosophical question? First, A, if we don't know, and B, we know it, how do we respond to it?
See, abstract philosophical questions are very rare, but I keep experimenting in my mock interviews.
Right.
I ask questions like, what is the relationship between freedom and justice?
Uh,
Suddenly, out of nowhere, I will
Mm.
ask, right.
Mm.
So, can you tell me the correlation between freedom and equality?
mm,
Right.
Mm.
So, you can write entire essay on the freedom. You can write
Correct.
entire essay on equality. You
Mm.
can write entire essay on justice also.
mm,
Now, when I bring these two concepts, if I
Mm.
ask about, so suddenly in what context?
mm,
I haven't given them the context.
mm,
So, to answer, create a context first.
mm,
Right. Like Indian present socio-economic reality.
Mm.
In that context, do you want to answer?
mm,
Or from the historical context?
mm,
Immediately think of a context.
mm.
And secondly, don't define them. People,
Mm.
what they do is that when I ask the relationship,
define.
they define and then they wait as if they've answered the answer. They define freedom is this,
Mm.
equality is this, justice is this.
Mm.
No, I'm not asking definitions. I'm
Mm.
asking about what is the correlation, what is the relationship between
Mm.
these two. The answer should ideally start like that.
Mm.
So the relationship between these two
Mm.
values or values basically here
Mm.
is that there cannot be equality without freedom.
Mm.
So you have made an argument now.
Mm.
So follow it with the justification,
Mm.
right? So you can say that where equality fails, the
Mm.
freedom fails.
Mm.
That can be another. Where freedom fails, equality fails. It can be anything. If you've read about it, you can say if you're thinking in that moment about certain idea, so
Mm.
it should be followed with justification, right? Like that, 2 to 3 solid points with the justifications. It need not be in the Indian context. It can be if you've read well American history or European history, or maybe in the context of where there is no democracy,
Mm.
right? From that context also you can give the answer. So identification of context. Second, the significance of the question. If you identify these two, you can answer any philosophical abstract question.
So context is very important for the question. That is what Sir is
Mm.
talking about. And when you spoke earlier about hobbies and interest, a very important word for all of you, productivity is very important when you define them. So, sir, coming back, since you're talking about opinions and everything, will they ever ask which political party you support? Why do you support BJP or Congress? Or if a question comes, if they're not asking, it's fine. But if it comes, should we give our views or should we give some balanced answer?
As far as I know, they won't ask questions related to politics
Okay.
directly like this.
Mm.
Secondly, they won't ask questions related to your personal life,
Hmm.
like your marriage,
Mm.
your parents, and
Mm.
all. Third, they won't ask any questions related to your religion and other stuff. Religion, from an academical angle, they might ask.
Mm.
So there was a question asked to a candidate: do you think does terrorism has religion?
Mm.
Right.
Mm.
So it is not personal question.
Mm.
You may be a Muslim candidate sitting in
Mm.
front of them, but it is not personal question. You should not take that question personally.
Mm.
Right. It
Mm.
is just they are asking the view.
Mm.
So they usually avoid personal questions.
Mm.
Like if it is if you're a Muslim candidate sitting, they won't ask explicit question about belief system in Islam,
Mm.
right? So something related to that,
Mm.
right? There can be issue related to Islam
Mm.
that is of wider importance to everyone.
Mm.
So what is your opinion? They may ask,
Mm.
not because you are a Muslim candidate. We should not have that biased mindset and go.
So you get a lot of candidates which have a varied work experience in academics. Every time you get this candidate, is his DAF form aligned to his academic and work experience, or you feel that they have filled up the DAF with this academic experience and work experience, but they're not able to show it in the interview? Do you find this problem, sir?
Yes, I find it often, on a regular way, regular
How do we
basis. I
overcome
find.
this, sir?
I mean, see, when you're putting things in the DAF, you should be mindful that every word you're putting there is extremely important.
Can you give an example, sir, when they make a mistake?
For example, if somebody has worked, let us say in IBM or let's say Google,
Mm.
or if somebody, I have seen many candidates who have passed out from IIMs,
Mm.
Ahmedabad, Bangalore, and all. So you suddenly they create more expectations.
Mm.
Right. So I try to give them a case study and try to get the answer.
Mm.
So the answer is kind of, the one without IIM degree,
Mm.
what they give, something obvious
Mm.
they give. And if they are from technical back like Google, so if I ask about like something like very technical question, let's say quantum chip or something, so their answer is routine. So then I try to ask the question, are you giving this answer not to test, not to sound technical? Some people have, we should not sound technical because the board will not understand. No, even if I don't understand, be technical. I want to know, right? So some people, they will not be actually updated. They are working in an organization, but they wouldn't have updated with the latest advancements, the developments, right? So then the marks will come down. So you should know everything about the organization, like who is the CEO, what is the market cap, so how is it doing in the market, what is the latest research, what are the new facilities, how much it is investing in India, right? How many people are employed. So it's all based on the curiosity. So you mentioned something in the DAF, you haven't been curious about that only. So then that kills your chances.
Correct. So, sir, I'm coming to the final question. Sir, J. Krishnamurti sir has said that truth is a pathless land. Okay, and he talks about that everyone's journey is very different. And what I understand from you is that every aspirant journey is also very different. So, how would you summarize certain that Sanjay, these are 5 important pointers or 3 important pointers that this person should follow, he or she, and some recommended books by you, at least 5 books by you that a candidate must read, which are your favorite and which will help him in the interview or overall personality enhancement, sir?
The 5 traits, like I mean, if I want to talk about 5 traits, one is, you have to be very curious about everything, what you mentioned and beyond what you mentioned. That curiosity, is visible through your responses. Second one, you have to be passionate about the things that you have put, right? You should be actually doing them. The third, go for, understanding, depth of understanding, develop depth in your understanding, not just the superficial, remembering certain facts. So there's a difference between knowing, learning, and remembering and understanding. Understanding is the most important. Fourth, always think that you don't know everything, and there is always learn. Again, it is related to first 2 points. So what people do is that, acha, these are the things I put. I'll prepare notes on this. I'll stop. Right. So the part of the fourth point is that learn more, read fiction, non-fiction books, develop that interest. That really helps you a lot. Fifth one, be humble yet confident. Yes, very important. Be humble yet confident. So find the balance between those two and try to be like that every day. Right. So these 5, when you go there, definitely will work. The last thing I mentioned will take care of all the 4 things. Right. Will be able to speak freely, calmly, relaxingly. Depth will be evident. Right. So the freshness in your approach will be evident. So the books, I usually recommend people to read, classics, English literature, or whether it is works where, Gyan award is in any language. Right. So if it is English, we have to read to develop new perspectives. So it also depends on one's individual interests. So if it is like fiction, as an aspirant, I used to be very much interested in reading about Russian literature, like Dostoevsky, Leo Tolstoy, right? Anton Chekhov, short stories, and all that. So, Crime and Punishment is one book, and War and Peace. But I don't recommend that they are bulky books. Only if you are in college or something, maybe you can read. And George Orwell's books, Animal Farm, 1984, and then Franz Kafka, so his book Circus Rebirth, Metamorphosis, and there are other works. And within India, like Tagore's. So I remember reading Bora. And in Kannada, like books by Yuval Anantmurthy, Girish Karnad, Kuvempu. So these are like very great personalities. And then there are books, Gabriel Marquez, 100 Years of Solitude. You can read, Bhakinarayan books also. They are also very good. So to understand, the native realities during the freedom struggle days. So the social angle too. So we study lots of history and freedom struggle in
looks, but how the society was. In his works, actually, we'll understand. Somebody has watched Margudi Days, they will know it, right? So when it comes to non-fiction, it depends on your interest, right? So nowadays, everybody is reading Yuval Noah Harari. So the latest book I am reading is Nexus. It's about the information, the future of information, the history of information, and the present reality, and in the era of artificial intelligence, quantum computing, how information is going to impact the humanity, how it is going to shape the humanity, something like this. So there is another book by 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. Some books are here also, sir. Yes. Yeah, I don't recommend reading self-help books. So they won't actually help. Just a time pass thing, right? So you don't learn actually. You don't implement also, even if you learn. Some of you may be implementing, but I don't think it works. So read books on, there are various authors who write about mind, who write about behavior, human behavior, write about, scientific advancement, like Carl Sagan. So he written so many books. I have a bunch of books. I have forgotten the authors. There is one famous book, Behave, right? Soprosky or something that I was reading. And non-fiction books related to Ambedkar, right? In the Rohi artists, so Jai Prakash Narayan, right? So you have to read these books also. So read books too related to political philosophy, so social issues, right? And I can get development economics, right? And technology, like, it can be any part of it, like space, artificial intelligence, something related to, biotechnology, genes, and everything. There is one guy, Siddharth Mukherjee, has written books about imperial malady or something regarding cancer. Him or other, I can't read. So that book I had read when I was studying, right? So like this, you have many books. I think you have to identify books. How I identified my list of books is going by what that year people like Bill Gates, Barack Obama. Every December, they post their favorite 5 to 10 books of that year. 5 books, 5 movies. So I keep looking for that list, and then I download. I try to buy. I try to read 1 or 2 books. I cannot read all the five. They're like very.
Just for the record, I had asked sir around 5 or 10 books. He has given at least more than 50 ideas. So just to add it, like when the Nobel prizes are announced, and for example, literature and everything, or physics, or other things. So even there sometimes they get the on what they have written. So those books are also a good.
They are wonderful. See, they are the greatest works written by
Right.
greatest minds. See, you should develop that kind of taste in your life. Anything you want to read, anything you want to listen, anything you want to watch, the best in the world. So you should know that what is best in the world, coming from various sources like Nobel Prize list, Pulitzer, and Booker prizes, and you have. So from that, based on your interest, you can filter out few things and start reading them. So like I used to do like that. There is still so many to read, so many books to read, so many movies to watch, so many documentaries to watch, and then we have to manage everything with everything, family, work, politics, this and that. But developing that kind of interest is so self-satisfying, and you can talk to anyone about anything. Even if you cannot contribute as part of the conversation, you can ask the right questions. You can show right interest. You can show curiosity, at least curiosity part. So something or the other will be developing. Need not be knowledge. It can be curiosity. It can be passion. It can be the personality itself. So being again more than anything, sanskar. Uh, the we started with Sheelam Paramabhushanam. Sheelam develop the character, right? The reading I think helps one develop good character. So you come across various characters, various realities, maybe various fictional things, various circumstances, people suffering variety of types. You know that you are nothing, right? What you are going through is nothing. Your ambitions are nothing, right? So your aspirant nothing. Just be who you are and keep learning, keep going with the flow of life, and then everything calms down. All your struggles, all your problems melt down. UPSC interview or whatever it is, just nothing. I mean, you go Be who you are. You talk, come out. Don't worry about the result. Don't worry about the marks. Right. Till then, try to be best. Try to do well in your life. Go talk and come out. Everyone will like you.
Okay. So I think Sir has ended the podcast on a very positive note. And in the times of this 1 minute reel and shorts, instant gratification, which we are looking for, he has gone into the depths of books, academics, and how one should take the UPSC interview, what should be the preparation strategy, what should be your methodology from whichever background you come from, rural, urban, how to go about your DAF form, how to go about your political opinion, viewpoints. He has tremendously covered all these viewpoints and questions. So I hope you enjoyed today's podcast at Beyond the Headlines. If you have any questions or if you want to put your comments, please do put your comments in the comment section so that we answer them. And most importantly, if you want us to cover a specific topic, please give that in the comment section. Thank you very much for today. Take care and bye-bye.
Thank you.